Hello everybody. Okay, this is a math video. Now I came in early and I did two videos, and one kind of just froze on me and stopped, and the other one I ran out of time because on QuickTime you can only do 15 minutes, and when you go over 15 minutes then you can't upload it. So now I'm taking both those videos, I'm putting them together in iMovie, and I'm putting them on YouTube. So what you're gonna see now, I think it's about 21 minutes long. It is on 4.4, and it's talking about finding the percent of a number and finding the whole number. So hopefully if you watch this one video, it'll help you with those two different ideas. And if it's a little choppy at times, sorry about that. Okay, enjoy. All right, this video is about chapter 4, lesson 4, so 4.4, and it has two ideas. We have two learning targets. One is to find the percent of a whole number. That is not too bad. There's a definite system to it. You just do some things you've been doing with converting percents to decimals, do multiplication, and you're good. Now, there's another idea. The second learning target is going to be to figure out finding the whole number. Okay, so we might not know what this is, but we know what the answer is, and so we got to figure out what that is. I'll get to that. That's a little bit more tricky. That kind of pushes us a little bit into algebra. We're going to touch on algebra just a little bit today. But let's start with the one that I find to be very straightforward. Okay? So if you want to find the percent of a number, now this might be helpful. Well, we'll get to that. Okay, if you have 25% of 40, of, the word of in mathematics equals multiplication. So you change that to a multiplication, you bring your 40 down, your equals down, and now I just want to convert this to a decimal. Well, I know I go 1, 2, 0.25 times 40. Now, you can do that on paper, you can do that on a calculator. Okay, I'm going to say 0.25 times 40 equals 10. Okay, so 25% of 40 equals 10. Pretty straightforward, right? Here's another one. I have 20% of 60. Now, the practical thing for this could be you're buying a pair of jeans that are 60 bucks, and the store says it's 20% off. Well, you want to find out how much money am I going to save? What is 20% of 60? And this is how much money I will save. Okay, so I take my 20%, I make it into a decimal. We've done a lot of that, okay? You just move the decimal over 2, you get 0.20. The of becomes a multiplication, and you bring down your $60. So 0.20 times 60. Okay, let's see what that is. 0.20 times 60 equals 12. Okay. Now, what that tells me, if I'm going shopping and I get to these jeans and above it says 20% off, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's good. Anything off is good because you don't want to spend too much money. Jeans cost 60 bucks, and if they're 20% off, before I go to the counter and they say, well, that's going to be this price, you can figure it out. You can say, okay, 20% of 60 that would be $12. So if I start with my $60 jeans and I subtract the 20%, which is the 12, that's gonna get me down to 48. So the jeans now cost $48, which is great. A little bit cheaper. So if you ever have a percentage off, and this one you could say, you know what, I'm buying something that costs $40, and they said it was 25% off. So 25% of 40, let's see how much that is. You do the 0.25 times 40, it's $10. So my $40 item is gonna be $10 less. So it's gonna be 30, okay? Now, I'm sure you guys do some shopping and do different things, go into the stores, and sometimes you'll see those sales. Now, you have the ability to figure out how to get it down and see how much you're gonna save. 20% of 60, I'm gonna save $12. Yay. Okay, now I wanna give you one other thing that is kinda helpful. It's something I did in school quite a bit. If a teacher would tell me a test or a quiz is gonna be worth 40 points. Say it's gonna be worth 40 points, and I wanna know, okay, test is 40 points. I wanna know, what do I have to get if I wanna get an A. And I know an A is 90%. So I wanna get 90% right. And it's out of a total of 40. So I go 90% times 40. That will tell me how many points I need to get my A. So I change this to 0.90 times 40 equals 0.9 times 40 equals 36. So if I get 36 correct on this test, I will get a 90%, and I will get an A. So how many can I miss? Just 4. I can miss 4 questions and still get an A. But then I could say, you know what? I want to see, just to make sure, I think I'm not confident on this material, but I would kind of like to get a B. And I used to do this. I would say, okay, now, I wonder what 80% is. 80%. Because 80%, if I get at least 80%, I'll get a B or higher. So 80%, I'm going to change that to 0.8. And then I'm going to do 0.80 times 40. Okay, 0.80 times 40. That equals 32. 32. So if I get 32 correct out of 40, I'll get at least a B. Now this one I can miss. To get a B, I can miss 8 problems. Now, I don't want to miss 8 problems. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to know as much as I can. I want to have all that knowledge in my head. I'd love to get 40. 40 out of 40. What would be 40 out of 40? Oh, that'd be 100%. So, if I would say, you know what? I want to try and get everything right. 100%. So, I take 100%, change that over. It gets me 1.00 because I put the decimal over there. I don't really need these, so it just gets me 1. What's 1 times 40? 40. Okay? That helps you to make sense of it. Because you know, if I tell you you get 100% right, you're going to get them all right. All right, I'm not sure what happened to the video I just recorded, but I got to like a certain point and it just froze on me. So, and I was pretty well done with that video, so I just let it go. So it seems like it's an abrupt ending. It is, but there was some sort of glitch. So that was how to find the percent of a number. So finding the percent of a number, you just take the percent, make it into a decimal, times it by the number, you'll get what you want. This is a little trickier. This is where you're finding the whole number. So you might have a question that says 50% of what number is 48? Okay. Now, if we can write it out this way, we do a little changing. I'm going to keep the 50% just like it is for now. I told you that in math, of is the same as multiplication. Now, what number? What's that? I'm going to make that into a question mark. I don't know what that is. When you see the word is, that kind of stands for equals. So all of this is that, okay? So I put this, and then I have my answer is 48. And this is where we start to touch a little bit on algebra, but we'll get into that after, into the next chapter. Okay, so now my problem is 50% times something equals 48. So I'm going to make this into a decimal times some number equals 48. Now, this equals kind of like a scale. Okay? Well, that's not real even, is it? There we go. Or a balance. Okay? When you have an equal, whatever you have on here, you want the same over here. So if you have two things on this side, you have to have two things on this side. But if I do one thing to one side, I have to do the other, right? So if I go like this here, I better go like this here to keep it equal. So here's the trick. If I have 0.50 times something equals 48, I want to get this down to where it's 1. Because if I had 1 times something equals 48, I could do that in my head. 1 times something is 48. Well, 48 equals 1 times 48 equals 48. Now, so the way I'm going to get this to be 1 is I put it 0.50, and this line is really divided by, but I make it into like a fraction. I put that 0.50. But if I do it to this side, I have to do the same thing to this side. This equal is the great two sides. Okay, so if I do 0.50, and I could do this on my calculator, 0.50 divided by 0.50 equals 1. Sweet. Okay. When you divide something by itself, you'll always get 1. So I get 1 there, times some number equals, now I got to do this. 48 divided by 0.50 equals 96. So now I ask myself a question. 1 times what equals 96? Well, anything times 1 is going to be what you want. So 96 equals 96. Then I come back up here and I change my question mark to 96. And I go over here, 50% of what number is 48? 96. Now I could go back and check it. And the way I check it is what I did in the video before. Because I want to see 0.50 times 96 equals. Now if I do this and it equals 48, then it means I did it correct. So let's try it. 0.50 times 96 equals 48. Sweet. That equals 48. That all checks out. So 96 is my answer. Okay. A little confusing. We're going to do a bunch of these. And we're going to do it over and over. But this is the system that I want you to do. Okay? Let's do another one. We're going to change some of these numbers here. This time we're going to say 15% of what number equals 9 or is 9. So 15% of some number is 9. So I take my 15%, I make that into a 0.50 of times what number, I don't know, that's a question mark, is equals 9. Okay. Now, I would love for this to be 1 times something equals 9. And the way I get this to be 1, I divide it by itself. 0.15. 1.5 divided by 0.15. But if I do it to this side of the equals, I have to do it to this side of the equals. 0.15 divided by 0.15, that gets me 1 times, still don't know the number, equals this. And this I'm going to use my calculator for. I'm going to go 9 divided by 0.15 equals 60. Now, here's where a little mental math comes in. 1 times what equals 60? Well, 1 times the number will always get me the number I want. So I'm going to change this to 60. 1 times 60, does that equal 60? Yes. So then this question mark is 60. So let's make sure that we're correct. We're suggesting 15% of what number is 9? We're suggesting that it's 60. We're going to say 15% of 60. We think this number is 60 is 9. Now, if this is good, if this statement is good, then we did it right. So I'm going to change this to 0.15 times 60 equals. So I go back to my calculator. 0.15 times 60 equals 9. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted. And it checks out. Okay, let's do another one. This time, I'm going to do 5% of what number is 10. Okay, I use my system. I have it written out like this, and I go 5%, I make that into a decimal, 0.05. Remember, we have to take it over 2, 1, 2, comes 0.05, okay? So 0.05 of, which is times, what number, that's the great question mark, is, means equal, and I know what it is, it's 10. I know the answer to this question is 10. I just don't know all the parts to this part of it. I don't know what that is, okay? And the way I get this is I want to get this part to 1, because 1 times something will be good. So I divide it by itself. Any number divided by itself equals 1. I know that's true. 5. If I want to get 5 to 1, divide 5 by 5 equals 1. If I want to get 23. I want to get 23 to a 1. 23 divided by 23, that equals 1. Any number divided by itself gets you to 1. So, I divide it by itself, but I got to do it on both sides. So, this divided by itself is 1 times some number equals, and here's where I'm going to use my calculator. 10 divided by 0.05 equals 200. Oof. Then I ask myself, 1 times what equals 200? Well, I'm thinking 1 times 200 equals 200. Okay. Now, of course, I want to check it. So I think it's 200. So I'm going to change this, and I'm going to say 5% times, or 5% of 200 equals 10. So I make this a decimal, 0.05 times 200. And I don't do this side, because if this side equals that, then I have it balanced. So let's do it. 0.05 times 200 equals exactly 10. And that checks out. So this is my number, my whole number. 5% of 200 is 10.